Staying in the United States, authorities recently found a secret cross-border tunnel used to smuggle migrants and illegal goods between the United States and Mexico.
Tuesday, 3:15 a.m., Nogales, Arizona. A staggering $70 million empire shattered. 3.5 tons of meth, 1.2 tons of cocaine, and a massive 350-meter smuggling tunnel. An unprecedented subterranean fortress in U.S. history. 50 federal agents stormed the border, capturing 14 high-ranking cartel bosses in a single night. But the most terrifying part? The high-voltage power and rail system found right beneath our feet reveal how close this threat really is. Hit subscribe to uncover the dark secrets behind this empire. You won't believe what the feds found next.
We're not going to war. We're going to clean up our cities. We're going to clean them up so they don't kill 5 people every weekend. That's not war. That's common sense.
It is exactly 3:15 a.m. The temperature outside in Nogales, Arizona is dropping, but inside the DEA and FBI Joint Task Force Command Center, the air is boiling. Federal agents are looking at a real-time monitor displaying a staggering reality. 14 cartel bosses are in handcuffs, and a massive $70 million empire is in total, irreversible ruin. This is not just another routine bust. It is the destruction of a 350-meter subterranean pipeline. This operation, codenamed Deep Strike, crippled the Sinaloa Cartel's primary West Coast supply line. Authorities seized 3.5 tons of pure methamphetamine and 1.2 tons of cocaine in one single high-stakes raid. This shatters the previous record for the largest volume of narcotics captured in a single underground passage in Arizona, preventing an estimated 1.5 million street doses from reaching vulnerable neighborhoods across 4 states. The timeline of Deep Strike shows exactly how close the threat came to American communities. For the past 8 months, intelligence agencies monitored 55 target locations across 6 different states. A breakthrough occurred at 11:45 p.m. on Monday when a single wiretapped phone call gave agents the exact coordinates: Warehouse 42, an abandoned industrial property just 150 yards from the international border fence. Let's look at the numbers. The cartel spent an estimated $12 million constructing this engineering marvel over a 160-day period. The tunnel is dug 55 feet below the surface, measuring 5.5 feet in height and 2 feet in width. Inside, agents discovered a fully functional, high-voltage electrical grid with 440-volt power lines, an industrial-grade ventilation system pumping 3,000 cubic feet of fresh air per minute, and a custom-built railcart system designed to move up to 5,000 pounds of narcotics every single hour. The national threat level remains critical. Data from the DEA's 2024 to 2026 intelligence reports indicates that the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels are responsible for 72% of the total illicit drugs flooding U.S. markets. In the first half of the year alone, synthetic opioids have caused over 38,000 poisoning deaths, making this interdiction a matter of national security. But the danger was immediate. Intercepted radio chatter from the cartel's enforcement wing, known as Los Duros, confirmed the presence of 18 heavily armed lookouts patrolling the perimeter, armed with automatic weapons and thermal imaging night vision. If the task force had waited even 20 more minutes, 30 additional cartel operatives would have received 40 kilograms of fentanyl and meth destined for Phoenix and Los Angeles. At exactly 3 a.m., the order to breach was given. 50 heavily armed federal agents from the FBI, HRT, and DEA special response teams stormed the facility. Within 15 minutes, they neutralized the perimeter without firing a single shot, seizing $70 million in drugs, 4,000 rounds of ammunition, and 12 encrypted communication devices. The operation has already prompted the immediate mobilization of 200 Border Patrol agents across 3 sectors. With the cartel's primary pipeline paralyzed, federal prosecutors are preparing a 45-count indictment against the 14 cartel lieutenants, who now face mandatory minimums of 40 years to life in federal prison. The engineering behind this subterranean nightmare reveals the staggering scale of the Sinaloa Cartel's U.S. operation. According to the FBI's newly declassified intelligence files, This wasn't just a simple ditch dug by hand. The cartel spent an estimated $15 million, utilizing heavy industrial boring equipment to excavate through solid granite bedrock, 55 feet below the surface. Let's look at the logistics. The tunnel, extending exactly 350 meters, was equipped with a reinforced steel-ribbed interior and a heavy-duty battery-powered railcart system. The power supply wasn't amateur. It was a 440-volt electrical grid tapped directly into the city's main utility lines, siphoning off over $100,000 in free electricity. Ventilation shafts pumped 3,000 cubic feet of fresh air every single minute, allowing crews to work 20-hour shifts without the risk of suffocation from toxic fumes or engine exhaust. But where did the money go, and how did they move the product so fast? The Sinaloa Cartel implemented a flawless logistical supply chain. Once the cargo reached the American side of the border at Warehouse 42, it was sorted, weighed, and repackaged in less than 45 minutes. The cartel's distribution network spanned over 4 states: Arizona, California, Nevada, and New Mexico. They used a fleet of 22 modified commercial semi-trucks with hidden floor compartments, making over 150 successful trips in the last 12 months alone. Federal prosecutors estimate the total street value of the narcotics moved through this specific pipeline over the past year exceeded $800 million. The profits were then laundered through a sophisticated web of 40 shell companies, fronting as legitimate produce wholesalers and logistics firms across 6 different states. This allowed the cartel to convert illicit drug money into real estate and high-end assets. The hierarchy dismantled in the deep strike operation is what makes this bust a fatal blow. The 14 individuals taken into custody included not just local drivers, but high-ranking Sinaloa lieutenants, including the chief engineer known only by the alias El Ingeniero. Intercepted communications reveal that El Ingeniero was responsible for designing over a dozen other cross-border tunnels. With his capture, the cartel loses its primary technical mastermind. The danger of this infrastructure cannot be overstated. Special agents noted that the volume of methamphetamine and cocaine passing through this pipeline was enough to supply the entire West Coast for a month. The sheer volume of synthetic substances interdicted, 3.5 tons of methamphetamine and 1.2 tons of cocaine, is staggering. Federal agencies are working around the clock, executing 18 additional search warrants in the early hours of the morning. They are finding ledgers detailing payments to corrupt officials, encrypted cryptocurrency wallets holding $70 million, and a massive arsenal of assault weapons, including 50 fully automatic rifles and 20,000 rounds of ammunition. The operation has brought the cartel's entire U.S. distribution system to a grinding halt. As federal agents secure the area and begin the process of filling the tunnel with high-density concrete, the investigation moves to its final, most dangerous phase. The dust has barely settled in Nogales, but the Department of Justice is already dropping the hammer. Federal prosecutors have just unsealed a massive 45-count indictment against the 14 cartel bosses captured in the Deep Strike raid. The charges are severe: operating a continuing criminal enterprise, international narcotics trafficking, money laundering, and weapons violations. If convicted, these individuals face mandatory minimum sentences of 40 years to life in federal prison with no possibility of parole. The trial, scheduled to begin in October 2026, is expected to be one of the largest federal crackdowns of the decade. But shutting down the pipeline meant more than just arresting the operatives. At exactly 6 a.m., heavy machinery from the Army Corps of Engineers arrived at the scene. In a coordinated effort, crews pumped 20,000 gallons of high-density, rapid-setting concrete directly into the 350-meter tunnel. Within hours, the multi-million-dollar underground fortress was permanently destroyed and filled to the brim. The message to the cartel is clear: your $15 million investment is gone, and this route will never be used again. The financial blow to the Sinaloa syndicate is equally devastating. Federal financial analysts working alongside the IRS and the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN, have already frozen 85 cryptocurrency wallets holding a staggering $70 million in illicit profits. But the operation didn't stop there. Authorities seized an additional $80 million in real estate and luxury assets across 3 states. This includes a fleet of luxury cars, 10 front companies, and offshore accounts used to finance future infrastructure projects. The total financial impact of this raid exceeds $220 million, completely crippling the syndicate's short-term liquidity. In the first 12 hours after the breach, federal task force teams recovered 47 cell phones, 14 encrypted satellite communication devices, and handwritten ledgers detailing over 4,000 transactions. These ledgers reveal the names of corrupt officials, local suppliers, and transport drivers. The names on those pages are now the subject of sealed federal warrants across Texas, California, and Nevada. The fallout has triggered a massive nationwide dragnet. In response to the intelligence gathered, the Department of Homeland Security has mobilized 200 additional Border Patrol agents and 30 tactical K-9 units across 3 major sectors: Tucson, El Paso, and San Diego. The goal is to detect secondary and tertiary tunnels before they reach a functional stage. Over the last 48 hours, they have already discovered 4 suspicious anomalies near the border, leading to 6 additional arrests and the seizure of another 1.5 tons of precursor chemicals. The danger remains high, but the tide is turning. As federal agents comb through the thousands of seized digital files, they are uncovering a web of corruption that reaches far beyond the border. The investigation is far from over, and a second wave of warrants is expected to be executed within the next 48 hours in cities spanning from Phoenix to Seattle. The Sinaloa Cartel thought they had an impenetrable path under our feet. Tonight, that empire is nothing more than hardened concrete and broken dreams. As the dust settles in Nogales, the message from federal authorities is absolute. The United States will not let subterranean empires operate beneath our feet. A $70 million empire destroyed, 14 cartel bosses locked behind bars, and 4.7 tons of deadly narcotics kept far away from our communities. But as the Deep Strike operation proves, this threat is constantly evolving. The Sinaloa Cartel will try to rebuild, but federal task forces are already tracking the next targets. With high-voltage grids destroyed and 20,000 gallons of concrete sealing the passage forever, law enforcement has drawn a hard line in the sand. What are your thoughts on this massive federal operation? Do you think the authorities did enough, or is this just the tip of the iceberg? Drop your comments below. We read every single one. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Stay alert, stay safe, and we will see you in the next investigation, where we expose the dangerous criminals who think they are above the law.